For a pledge. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. We'll lead off tonight with our report from the ambulance service.
Good evening, Matt Wagner, Tower Direct.
Back.
For the month of May, 199 calls in Cumru, total for 1,070 for the year. Of those calls, 75 are ALS medical, 31 BLS medical, 22 BLS trauma, 14 lift assist, 11 unconscious, 6 ALS trauma, 5 unknown MBA, 4 class 4 mental, 3 cardiac respiratory arrests, and 3 ILS medical. 78% of our calls were transported to the hospital. 82% to Reading, 17% to St. Joe's, the remaining to wherever else. Year to date, 84% to Reading. Our average shoot time, which is dispatched to en route, is 1 minute 8 seconds. Average response time is 8 minutes 13 seconds, for a total call time of 56 minutes and 59 seconds. What questions you guys have, if any?
Just curious, I don't have the report and the trends in front of me. Anything you're noticing either specifically within Cumru or in the broader area in terms of trends or any upticks or?
Nothing outside normal, right? Especially with the summer, like we're starting to see a little bit more of the MBAs with motorcycles, stuff like that. And some other changes in our other municipality, like down in Chester County, but other than that, nothing outside normal.
I'll leave it to our fire and police chiefs. If there's any public health efforts, we can coordinate with you.
Awesome.
Thanks, Matt. Next up, we are going to be deferring the minutes approval at a busy week and time off in some of our administrative staff. So in our 5th Tuesday meeting, we'll circle back to the minutes for our last meeting. For public comment, we have one person who was planned ahead. That's Helena Devine. Did I get that right?
Close. My name's Helena Devine. I live right on the corner of Church and Welsh, 487 Church Road. I am moving, and so I wanted to have an estate sale, but I don't know what the protocol is in terms of parking because there's no street parking. I'm right on the corner of Church and Welsh, and I know that there's parking in the old fire station, and I believe there's also parking down by the rec center, I think, but I don't know who I need to talk to about permission or signage or what's my responsibility.
Well, I'll kick that over to our police and fire chiefs and Peter, if you have comment on it.
When I got the letter, I did request the chief to take a look at the safety issues, which he did, and I think you got a letter. Okay, well, basically what it said was, there are, first of all, liability issues that would have to be dealt with. And then because parking in those areas would mean people would be crossing the street, it would require police presence. This is a 4-day event, is that correct?
And actually, I wanted to correct that. It's the 7th, 8th, and 9th.
It's what?
The 7th, 8th, and 9th, so it's a 3-day event.
Oh, it's a 3-day event. It's very expensive to have off-duty officers. The least expensive thing that we could do, because they are paid time and a half, would be $90 an hour. So it's not cheap. That's, Chief, is there anything else that I missed?
No, that pretty much sums it up with the just the increase in parking in those two lots. If we would allow that, now we're obviously running two public safety entities out through that area. So we would have to have somebody in that parking lot if you would allow parking at the rec center to make sure, because Murphy's Law is that something's going to come in when that happens, obviously with the fire and the police. And again, just the major concern is, Mr. Marshall indicated, is going to be any potential foot traffic that's going to be in that area. There's no sidewalks, there's no crosswalks. And by allowing individuals to park on those two lots would require them to cross both of those roads in that intersection. And it's going to be, it could have the potential to be incredibly unsafe. Those are my main concerns about allowing that.
I guess, Kelsey, one thing I'm curious maybe from your perspective is there a possibility of a waiver of liability, something like that?
Yeah, of course, there's a possibility to get a waiver, a release, an indemnification agreement. But it doesn't mean that the township still can't get sued and have to deal with bringing that up in a lawsuit and substituting plaintiffs and things like that. So, sorry, defendants. I just, from a liability perspective and from a precedent setting perspective, I would recommend that the board not allow parking in those areas.
So is there any way to have a sale? Like, are they allowed to park street side even though there's no street parking? Is that possible or?
That's not going to be possible in that location.
No, okay.
No, the only available parking I see that would be something that could be accommodated would be on your property.
Yeah, we have two parking spots.
I know, yeah, and unfortunately, the way your house is situated on those two roads are near that intersection, it's extremely dangerous.
Yeah, and we had thought, and I didn't know liability wise, but my friends and I had thought of using like a shuttle, like using one of our cars as a shuttle and have somebody like, we're gonna shuttle you from here to there. Cause I was thinking that too, because I'm like, there is no crosswalks, there are no sidewalks. So we were thinking of using my car, have somebody drive it, like wait here, we'll take you, we'll drive you back and forth. Cause it's not a far walk, but again, it's treacherous and I do understand that, but is that a possibility?
Oh, and that's always a possibility if you could logistically work that out. I mean, this is probably one of the reasons why we don't see a lot of yard sales or garage sales or estate
I'm moving
sales.
out of the country, so I wanted to
Yeah.
sell everything and to not have the sale, I'm a little like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think that's why it's more common to see these kind of events in developments.
Yeah,
Because there's always that street available
Yeah.
parking, but unfortunately, if you can work it out logistically to have any kind of shuttle, I mean, we can't stop you or prevent you from doing that. But
I don't like, I don't want to do anything illegal or cause any
Yeah.
issues. So just to make sure that I'm understanding right, but if I can hire somebody, because I would have to be running the sale, but if I can hire somebody to use one or two cars in those lots and have a sign saying shuttle only, do not cross, we will take you, is that?
oh,
That
no,
still doesn't
yeah, that-
alleviate the liability issues of people, private citizens using our public parking lot. And
Okay.
if someone gets injured, if there's a car accident in the lot, and there's just too many liability issues, I just don't recommend that the township allows that. Unfortunately, I don't know if you've looked at certain auctioneer companies that would actually
take-
come and haul your stuff
They
to a
take like
a site.
60%, so it's 100% not worth it. Like I've looked into every other option but that, so this was my last.
Understood. I'm sorry. I just think it's just a poor location for that
Yeah.
kind of thing, just for parking.
Yeah,
Is there perhaps a place you could have people park and shuttle them from elsewhere? I think that the challenge for us is that the
that's what I was thinking
liability on
about
the
the rec
township.
center,
If
so
there were another parking lot, public parking lot that you could perhaps have people shuttle that.
I don't know of any, like, because you guys know the area, I'm literally down the street on the corner, so I don't know of any other
Rite Aid?
lots.
It's closed now. So I don't know. I don't want to say you can or can't do that. That's not my authority to say. But if you could find an alternative parking location and shuttle them, I think that might be your best bet.
Okay, then with that, I would just have to figure out like who owns the lot and contact the lot.
Or
Or
public parking, like if there's public street parking.
is there
available.
rules about that? Like,
And
I don't think anybody owns the Rite Aid right
I'm
now.
just trying to do the right thing and not
Yeah.
have a lawsuit when I'm just trying to sell my stuff, but,
best we can do is just say, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speak for Chief Winchester, but if she were to have people park outside of the township's property, that's not really the township's purview aside from as long as they're adhering to like parking and the
Yeah,
regular rules.
Any kind of street parking that would be public street parking is acceptable. So any development that would be close to you in the area that you could.
I just don't think there's any, because we're like, this whole area is so beautiful, but there's
challenging.
not, yeah.
Ma'am, what about like a church property or something, maybe offering to give them some kind of,
I'd have to look into that, but,
yeah, that could be an option.
but if I could find that and then we do a shuttle, is there an issue? And then, okay, so if I can do that by some miracle, signage wise, where do I look to find out where I can put signs and where I can't put signs? And
There, I think we have don't we have a yard sale sign ordinance or a signage ordinance that dictates that? And I don't know, again, we're not codified on the website, so I don't know if that specific ordinance, because there's lots of ordinances, is on the township website. Maybe Patty can try to find it for you. And if you give her your contact information, can send it to you, or our codes official maybe. Yeah, I think there's a requirement that you just have to have them down within 24 hours after the sale is over, if I recall correctly. You can find that our zoning ordinance is on the township website. And if you just kind of do like a search for signage, you should be able to find that section, but you can put signage like that up. It just needs to be down and disposed of within 24 hours.
okay.
I'll just say, I don't think anybody up here wants to impede you from doing what you gotta do. It's just where we have liability, we
Yeah.
have to protect.
No, I mean, that's why I'm here and didn't just try and wing it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Moving on, we have a couple of folks who have requested to speak. We have Helena Devine that we already spoke to, Regina Miller.
Ready. My name's Regina Miller. I live at the corner of Parkside and Ardmore and Montrose Manor. I had an issue last month with my trash being skipped by Berlinski, and I wanted to let you all know that my trash has been consistently collected on time on Monday when it should be. They now arrive between 6 and 7:30 prior to road construction, as I suggested. So far, so good. So yay. And also at the last meeting, I voiced some concerns about possibility of switching to mechanical trash collection in the future, exempting Flying Hills, of course. The proposed 96-gallon wheeled cans weigh over 35 pounds empty and up to 150 to 200 pounds when full. I believe, based on various factors, we qualify for manual pickup at my home. We own a double lot at the corner of Ardmore and Parkside. Our raised ranch is built into the slope of the hill with the garage downstairs, which is entered around the corner on Ardmore. Our narrow paved driveway is bordered by a concrete curb along its entire length. Our home's entrance is about 2/3 the way up Parkside Avenue, as is our living area. Now, up over 190 feet or so, our property abuts a gravel alley at the dead end. Our trash storage is up near the property line, and Mondays my husband carries it to the curb. The trash hauler backs up Parkside to the dead end and loads our trash and that of a few neighbors. Local haulers such as Blosninski, Boscaro, Eagle, and others are familiar with the unique topography of the dead end that will necessitate manual collections. Our small 39-gallon can could be picked up weekly with our one bulk item allowed. You may speak perhaps with Mike Yost. He knows my home and surroundings. And one more thing, Mr. Marshall's response last time, and I quote, "First of all, they are wheeled and I've used them many, many times, and I'm more elderly than you are. And you have a driveway. It's on wheels, it's not heavy. I've done it for years. It's going to be easier with a wheeled can than it is now. I can tell you that. I've done it both ways." Wow. I didn't know how to respond. I didn't expect such a reaction from a representative. Apparently, Mr. Marshall has no knowledge of my home situation, the hilly terrain, the dead end. He has no clue about our health, our ages, or our physical ability to move heavy trash cans. He seemed unconcerned, argumentative, and dismissive of my particular situation. I did not expect that. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Regina. I don't think anybody intends to be dismissive. I recognize that there are be challenged. Yeah, and I'm sorry that you felt that way. It is a challenging situation and we appreciate you coming in and
Thank you.
sharing your concerns. Thank you.
Actually, I apologize if I made you feel that way. I'm sorry about that.
Mr. Brandon Smoker. Yeah, if it's your first time here, just please state your name and address into the microphone for
Sure.
the record, and then
All right,
floor is yours.
okay. I guess I came at the right time, but this is Brandon. My name is Brandon Smoker. I'm from Ephrata. I do solar and for the last 6 years helped a couple hundred people do solar around here. And my friend Daniel Melnick, who
I'm sorry, are you a resident of the township?
I'm in Ephrata, so no. But my
Okay,
friend Daniel
unfortunately,
Melnick,
we
who-
reserve public comment for residents and taxpayers of the township.
okay,
If there's a conversation that you want to have about potential solar within the township, you can certainly reach out to someone from the Board of
Sure.
Commissioners at a later time. Thank you.
You can give your contact information or get the contact information from Patty and feel free to reach out. We would be happy to have the conversation, but like Kelsey said, for public comment, it's reserved for residents. Thank you. Mr. Emery.
Glenn Emery, 4E Fairway Road. I conveniently had the definition of moratorium here, but I didn't go online. So, well, let's relate to the data centers and the problems that we're having there. The acts that the Board of Commissioners did to try to restrict things that developers have. And sometimes I think I spend a little too much time on social media. And lately I've been seeing a lot of narrative about a moratorium. So what is a moratorium? Well, here it is. It just came up. A moratorium is an authorized temporary delay or suspension of a specific activity, law, or legal obligation. Kelsey, you know this. It functions as an official pause button, often called a freeze or stay, implemented by a government, business, or government authority to halt actions until a problem is resolved or further treated. Seems to me that the ordinance that was passed recently is taking care of a lot of these conditions. What, if anything, could a moratorium do to improve this situation?
A moratorium would get us thrown immediately into a lawsuit.
Yeah, okay.
The problem with moratoriums on preventing people from developing certain uses within the township is that it's exclusionary zoning, and you
Right,
can't
can't-
zone out
Right,
one particular use in the entire township, no
Right.
matter what that use is.
right,
That is why this board took it upon themselves to say, okay, we can't exclude it entirely. We don't love data centers, but we can't exclude them entirely.
Right.
So let's make sure that we have control over what they look like and how they function if and when they do come to the township. So in my opinion, from a legal perspective, we did everything that we possibly could to make sure that we have control over data centers without getting ourselves in a position where we're getting sued for exclusionary zoning.
yeah, that's what it appeared to me. I did read the 37-page ordinance. It was a little cumbersome, but it seems like we're on the right track. And a moratorium, we used to have a lot of moratoriums when I was in college back in the 60s. So, yeah, right. Thank you, Kelsey.
Thanks, Glenn. Mr. Walther?
Good evening. I'm Doug Walther, Executive Director of the Heritage of Green Hills, and I am not a resident of the county.
Unfortunately, the same rule applies to everybody. if you do have business that you want to bring up to the board that relates to a proposal or something like that, you're more than welcome to contact one of the commissioners or the manager directly. And then if it becomes an agenda item, they can discuss it and ask for a presentation. But for public comment purposes, unfortunately, we don't allow non-residents to speak.
How does someone comment on something that's being presented to the board for a decision?
If you're a resident, you may do that. If you're not a resident, unfortunately, you don't get to make public comment on those decisions.
Okay, as the executive for the business that is in the township at the Heritage,
There a decision being made with respect to the heritage tonight?
Does this have to do with the aqua water?
yes, it does.
Yes.
I think we should, you're representing the heritage and with
It's a letter
regard
of
to
support.
The aqua
something
project.
relevant
Yeah.
to the tonight's agenda. I think
Sorry, Mr. Walter, I wasn't sure what exactly you were.
I was just making sure I didn't step out of line and I took your,
I appreciate that. Thank you,
Okay.
yeah.
so I'm Doug Walther. I'm the executive director of the Heritage of Green Hills, 200 Tranquility Lane. I think everyone's familiar with the Heritage, yes? All right, that'll save 5 minutes. There is a project.
I'm sorry, if you're a representative of a community member, then sure. You can make public comment.
Okay. Thank you. I'm just here to share the concerns that are rising proposing the Aqua project. There is an Aqua well station project that they'd like to bring in front of you to get approval for. The project, I think, at this point in time involves the Heritage property. They're looking for the creation of a water treatment plant on the property. And we have an easement with them for a well, but not for the expansion of the use of that property or the project. They are looking to relocate that water treatment from Flying Hills across the street into the Heritage property and have talked to us about a 1,000-gallon chlorine tank they like to put in and 36 to 48-inch water lines, tearing up the driveway coming in, an extension of their existing easement, and the forever impact on our property. So I know as the dialogue continues with the board that we would like to continue our dialogue. It's been very one-sided with them. We're trying to understand the full breadth of their project, but we have not provided approval or those things. We're trying to be a good neighbor to Aqua. We realize we need to do that and to work through things. To do so, we've hired our own engineering firm. We've got Spot, Stevens and McCoy coming in to try to help us identify other ways, because this is directly on our driveway into the property. So would ask you not to support the project at this time as we get more clarity and understanding of it. Again, I'm not asking not to do the project. I'm saying just at this time for them to be moving forward before we've got a full understanding of this breadth of this and the impact on the property for the residents that live there. They are a very vulnerable group of people and want to make sure that we just protect that. Okay. Thank you for your time.
sure, thank you.
Do we want to just jump into this now? Is there anybody else on public comment?
No, there's not. I mean, we can
Since you brought it up and he's here.
rearrange the agenda. It's immediately pertinent. I think that makes sense. So it is under correspondence, I believe.
No, under
Oh,
admin
sorry,
C.
administration. Right. Oh my gosh. So we'll just skip ahead and then circle back, but let's just cover only this topic under the administration. So, Peter, do you want to speak to?
Yeah, we received a letter. The proposal is to have ion exchange, which will remove forever plastics, which is a problem. And in terms of the proposal and what it does, we support it. I support it, and I'm recommending support. However, we did not know where it went, and we didn't have any of the details that he just mentioned. So you might want to include that in your consideration. We did not. I did not.
So do we know, I know where the existing facility is. Do we know, or maybe you know from your conversations, do you know exactly where they want to build at the Heritage?
Yeah, did they submit any formal plans at this point?
In answer to your question, I do know what they have talked about doing, but I don't know the breadth of the full project. And to address your question, they've given us draft drawings, but I don't know if they've submitted anything to the township at all. And we're proposing, we're going through proposing that if they would like to do it on the property, there is a building there and the well, we'd like to relocate that well and have them do it in a different area on the property that's just not directly on the drive-in as they try to expand their footprint on our approaching appearance.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot more to hash out before this really takes flight, if it ever does.
And I'd love to sign an easement with them and get to the breadth of everything that they want to do and how they're going to repair the road and how are they going to stop the residents and EMS from coming back and forth. And there's just a lot of open ends. So before we get approvals, I would just like an opportunity to have some time to look at it more.
It does look like Tanya just found, I don't know if it's specific to this project, it looks like it very well may be, a blueprint or schematic drawing from Aqua on the drive. So let's
We can contact them and tell them we want to see what they're proposing because
Sure.
we have not seen what they're proposing.
yeah, I mean, I think it should surprise no one that I'm concerned about PFAS and forever chemicals. I think everyone would reasonably be, but certainly I understand there's potential property impact and we want to make sure that sort of project is done right. But I would advocate we maybe hold off. Anybody else?
No, I agree. I would think for a project like this that there would be a lot more information, like environmental impact, obviously some kind of detailed plan about how it would affect heritage since it's right on their property. And given that we don't have all that other than this schematic or this plan, I think we need to contact back to them.
And I'm very willing to sit with the township as much as possible to work through all of the details of all of this. So we all come to, a comfortable agreement about what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and what the end result's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, we'll let you know when they submit land development plans and they're gonna have to, go through that process too, if they're building something new, so.
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, I think with regard to the township, correct me if I'm wrong, Kelsey, like our role at this point would be whether or not we would offer a letter of support. I don't think I feel comfortable just yet doing that. So I don't know that we would want to play like mediator, but I would welcome further conversation from you or any representative from the Heritage as well as Aqua so that we could determine whether or not we wanted to offer support one way or the other.
Absolutely perfect.
I just want to make sure. I think this is clear, but I just want to verify. Your issue isn't the project itself. It's just the location of where they want to run everything.
Correct. And what they're trying to impact from the visual perspective. 1,000-gallon tank next to a building in the middle of a field that's directly visible by all the residents and the road on the way in and those kinds of things. And then the impact on the environment and the residents as well. So.
And I know rules for utilities are a little bit different. Like what kind of influence do we have over these things?
We don't have that much influence because they are a public utility. So that changes the rules a bit, but they still have to comply with like SALDO ordinance and stuff. Like they have to make sure they're not creating stormwater issues and things like that. And they do have to, pay you for any property that they take, fair market value or whatever, whatever the parameters are. So yeah, there's different considerations for that, but it sounds like they're just kind of getting started and they aren't really sure yet. So
I think they know what they would like to do, how they're communicating it to us and the breadth of what everything that's going to be involved in the impact are things that adds the executive that makes a recommendation to my board of directors. I'm not comfortable enough with what they're trying to accomplish to be able to say this will be okay or this won't be okay.
Yeah, I would suggest getting whoever your counsel is and Spots, Stevens and McCoy to kind of team up and figure out who they need to talk to over there to get more information and sit down and have a real look at it.
Thank you.
Maybe beyond that, it sounds like they've spent some money in engineering and that kind of stuff. Is there a way that we can kind of influence that, if they at least get a discussion around what they've just let them handle it? All right.
We're going to contact them and ask for their plans. Thank
Excuse
you.
me, Patty, I see that there's a Word document in our drive, but we can't open it. Would we be able to get that submitted again? There's a document in administration that it's a Word document.
Well, is it Word or it's a .msg file, whatever that is. It's not opening in the drive.
It says the Aqua PA Green Hills Manor.
Invest application.
Pop was asking us to offer a letter of support for an about. Okay. Okay, we will, we'll obviously take a look at this and we're not gonna make any decision tonight. Thanks. Okay, now back to the regular scheduled programming. Okay, we're gonna lead off with economic development. We don't have, I think, any major update. There has been a lot of discussion about, if anyone attended some of the previous meetings, about ongoing initiatives. So I wanted to sort of take a moment and allow anyone who has any alternative ideas to present them for deliberation publicly. I think it's important that everyone feels included in this process. There are substantial challenges that have been described at length, and I want to make sure we are we're leaving no stone unturned. So I've heard concerns about some of the initiatives that are in progress. I think there's always differences of opinion and ideas of what may be best. But the reason I put this on here is what I don't think is productive is when there's just criticism. If there's an opportunity to explore alternative ideas that anyone has, let's hear them, because we need to hear all the ideas that are out there. We need the full universe of ideas to address the problems and find the best one. So I just wanted to put this here to open the floor, maybe discuss current status and whether or not there's anything else anybody has in mind.
I don't have any new ideas, but of course, running for election, all my cards and everybody around the township got them, that I wanted to preserve open spaces and farms. So you all know that. That's not a secret, that I'm not going to vote for that. Of course, I would prefer to see more businesses, which is a challenge. But I wanted to know what is is there any update about getting water into 222? Is there something stopping that at this point?
There's nothing stopping it. It's just that we haven't started that yet. And what I mean by that is the master plan grant that we have. We need that to come through first to be able to get into the things that you're talking about here, because that's a $400,000 study, basically, to make a long story short. It's not something we want to pay for.
But they are working on it.
It'll be as part of that grant, yeah. So, or I should say, it'll be part of the study that they do. It won't be limited to just water. It'll be things like traffic flow and so on and so forth. There's a number of different things that'll be included in there, but that will be very comprehensive. The hope is that we hear back in the September-ish timeframe. Last year, I don't think they decided till like December on this, but it is an election year, and folks tend to decide things a little bit earlier in election years, so maybe it'll be September this year. We'll see. And we may not get it, and we may have to figure out other ways to fund that, but we will have to figure out exactly what needs to happen
So
out
more or
there.
less, it's a money thing for that.
It is and it isn't. I mean, obviously, we don't want to pay that if we don't have to. If we can get a grant, that's a much better route to go. But it will ultimately become a money question should we not get that grant. It's very involved, to Andy's point. There's a lot of different considerations on 222.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I guess, I mean, to build on your point, Greg, and maybe to rhetorically respond to some of the questions I've heard, and I've now had some time to think about as I drive to and from work or sitting in the shower pondering these things. Perhaps it could have been explained a little better, like Greg just did. There's sort of an order of operations that has to happen. With something like what we had talked about with the TND or with the data center ordinance, where we're doing something that is essentially hypothetical and saying we just are putting constraints around what the township has purview over, that's just entirely in our power. But when we're talking about something like revitalizing aspects of the township that are underdeveloped or in terms of infrastructure, in order to accomplish goals like that, we're talking, like Greg said, $400,000 just to do the analysis and study for it. So what Greg and I have talked about, and I think we've tried, and maybe can do a better job of communicating, is with regard to the economic development efforts, is we can't just look at it with a narrow lens of Lancaster Avenue or some specific aspect of the revitalization of the township, because like we discussed, the Lancaster Avenue corridor is probably the most complex aspect of this effort we're looking at. There's immense infrastructure understanding and engineering work that needs to go into it. Now, is that perhaps the crown jewel of the whole thing? I would say probably, but that's going to take much more time, and I think we need to, in the meantime, not sit on our hands. Not that I'm suggesting anyone is saying we should do that, but I think we need to just continue to look at the full spectrum of ideas on how we can stimulate the economy of Cumru Township. And I think that's what I think and I hope we're doing.
Yeah, and I think just to add a little bit more to that, it's not just the infrastructure issues out there. There's lots of metrics that any sort of commercial entity looks before they come into an area. So we're addressing multiple fronts, to Andy's point, all at once. There's an infrastructure angle, but there's also angles around our population. If you read the study that Delta did, 2 big points as it relates to our population came out. One, it's stagnant, and 2, it's aging. That's not necessarily a criticism or anything like that. It's just reality. Our percentage of our population over the age of 65 is 23%. It's 23.5 to be exact. 18.5 is the average for the state. So that might not seem like a huge delta, but that's nearly 40% higher. That's not something retailers get excited about. And once again, that's not any sort of criticism. I don't want anybody to think I'm coming off like an ageist or something like that. That's just reality of the situation. That's what retailers look for. So we have to find ways to show that our population isn't stagnant, that we're taking sort of different steps to bringing kind of new folks into the area. And that makes more sense more on the eastern side of the township, because that's where folks want to live from what we've found from our studies. That's where the biggest demand for housing is. So everything just kind of comes together like that. Step 1 feeds into step 2, which will fit into step 3, and so on and so forth. This is a multi-year project here. Let's be honest. This is not something that's going to wrap up within the next couple of months here.
Floor is open. Is there anything else on the economic development or budget or that front? Okay. Moving into our departments, start with you, Chief Winchester.
Thank you. You all should have the KPIs on your tablets. I just wanted to point out two kind of glaring points. The first being the training and details. I addressed that last month with the increase is substantial, and it's due because to our mandatory in-service trainings that we're having. And we also did the first round of firearms training, as well as getting into our defense tactics training. That's mandated, and we do every year, multiple times a year. So that's what you'll see. That's why you'll see a spike in that number. And also with the repeat calls, obviously tracking all repeat calls, offenders, and victims. When it comes to locations, it's going to include the businesses in our area. So that high repeat call number right now is 12, and that's due to the responses to the Sheetz gas station for various calls that we have, whether it be disorderlies or any kind of issue whatsoever. So I'm not too alarmed by that. You shouldn't be alarmed by that number either. So if there's any questions I can try and address with that, I will.
I don't know how much you can say about that, but it just kind of struck me as curious. Like, what about what is it about the Sheets that draws like repeat calls there?
Honestly, it's 24 hours a day. They're always operational. Many people go there just to hang out if they're, want to have a quick drink because they do serve alcohol there. Although it's not a problem, they tend to have individuals that are consistent that go there, and sometimes when you consume too much alcohol, you get a little rowdy. Most of our officers have a very good rapport with the frequent flyers that we call them down there, so they never really turn into issues with us, but they require a response and a kind of, listen to them and kind of encourage them to go home. But I think the 24-hour operation is probably the greatest draw for individuals going there. And there's loud noise, loud noises from the cars. Everyone that's gotten gas at any gas station hears the individuals that come in and think that we want to hear all the songs that they're listening to. But so we get calls about that as well often.
So is it safe to assume that it's mostly in the night that you get these calls?
Those kind of calls, yes, it's going to be at night, and surprisingly, but not surprisingly for me, sometimes in the morning. Whether they work a midnight shift and that's their morning is our night. They usually enjoy a beverage at the Sheets.
Only question I have, Chief, were the number to go up, is there like a threshold at which you would feel like this is putting a strain on the force?
The number at Sheets and the number at Giant and Goodwill, those locations are always higher. They're a steady response from us, whether it be for retail thefts or whether it be for disorderlies, or just welfare checks. They're consistent. I don't think it puts a strain on us. If I had to put a number, I mean, if you double that number, then clearly, it's going to invoke a response, a visit saying there's something going on here. You're calling in a disproportional amount of time, which is why it's on the KPI. But yeah.
Can I ask a stupid question? Because I don't know what it means, but self-directed activity, is that just your sort of run of the mill? You kind of, drive to a location to check something out, or what does it mean? Self-directed activity.
Self-directed activity is going to be anything that the officer initiates on their own through observation or through just motivation, whatever it may be. But I usually describe it as pretty much anything outside a normal call for service. So if they get a radio call, a 911 call, or a dispatch, that's not going to be a self-directed activity. An example would be like a traffic stop, a community policing activity, a DUI investigation or a drug investigation, something that they initiated on their own through their own observations.
Okay, thank you.
The only other two things I want to point out that occurred just recently, within the last 3 days, we did have, and it was some great police work, we did have an individual that was caught that had just broken into the Little Caesars down on Lancaster Avenue. And through good police work, he was quickly stopped and identified and arrested, and also was identified as attempting to break into the beer mart as well down there on Lancaster Avenue. So the officers on midnight shift did a great job in heads up policing and seeing an individual quickly running away or walking away from them when they saw them, which turned into a running away and stopped them and got them identified in that. So they did a great job. We also had some theft from vehicles that occurred in the 400 block of South Wyomissing Avenue. And we were able to identify a suspect and make an arrest. So there's 2 theft from autos and an attempted theft from auto. So just some really good follow-up work by officers, which you all know since I came here, we try and change the dynamics and the responsibilities of the officers slightly and encourage them to be more follow through more with their investigations, not simply write a report and send it up to the detectives, because our detectives we don't have enough detectives to handle all that. So they're doing a great job. The only other thing I wanted to talk on the agenda was just to provide an update to the board that I did have a civil service meeting yesterday where they certified, the commission certified the hiring list for us. And as you know, a hiring list is simply a list of individuals who had taken the test, passed the stages up until the background investigation. And then if the board would to decide to allow me to hire somebody, if we had an opening, then that list would be used. So it's a practice that we always have an active certified list available to us because of the dynamics of 6 months training for an officer to be realized on the schedule. So. And that's all I had, unless anyone has anything for me.
The only other thing I saw in the packet for the meeting was a notice of no parking and road closure for the community days. So I don't know if that falls under a different department, but or if you want to address that, is that something that we'll post on the website or, on your Facebook page, or just to make the public aware?
Yes, so we do have a extensive no parking road closure memorandum that we're going to be pushing out. It's scheduled to be put out on Facebook on our Facebook page on Thursday. And the reason we're waiting till Thursday is because Thursday we're also going to have officers hand deliver these parking letters to the residents that will be affected or impacted with these parking restrictions and regulations over community days. So I'll bear everyone the agony of going through all the restrictions, but they will be up on our website. If you do happen to live in that area on Governor, Eric, or Elkins Avenue, you'll more than likely be receiving a letter either handed to you or in your mailbox that will outline the parking restrictions. And unfortunately, again, it's like every year, it's a temporary, heartburn for allowing the community days to operate successfully throughout the weeks that we have it. But I will thank you for reminding me. I will push that out. Yes.
Will we put that on our Cumru Township website also? I think for public awareness, it would be a good idea.
Yes, we can absolutely do that. And I do see Mr. Yost just pointed out, thankfully, there's an item C, which is fire police on under my agenda. We discussed the manager, myself, and Chief Bean discussed fire police and the kind of unique situation that we have here in Cumru Township, that being fire police falling operationally under the police department, but administratively under the fire department. And it does create some issues, to say the least. And also continuity of command and direction. There's some hurdles that we have to overcome continually on that front because of the split responsibilities and roles.
I've never seen that. anywhere I've been, fire police are almost always, as far as I know, always except here, under the fire department. And, you know, it's a place that they can go and, social setting also. Chief Bean had some concerns about it because he has not been doing that. But, Madison explained that it really is not a major administrative problem. And if this is incorrect, correct me. So the thinking right now, my thinking right now is eventually that's a change that probably should be made, but it would be up to the board.
So is there like a proposal as to what that would look like?
We haven't done anything but talk about it so far.
Maybe the liaisons could get with the police and fire and have a conversation and figure out how that might look and what the logistics would be good for, just a suggestion.
That's a good idea.
Well, Peter, I was gonna ask, would this be, I mean, I realize the board can weigh in on anything, but with the amended manager ordinance, would that fall under the manager's discretion, essentially how to organize the departments?
But I don't know if this particular thing would, certainly we could do it that way, or the board could jump in, whatever you want. This is kind of unique. Like I said, I've never seen this kind of an organization.
I mean, I would prefer to defer to the experts here. If Chief Bean, Chief Winchester, and you find something that makes sense personally, I think I don't know how to run a fire department, police department, or a fire police department.
We could do that.
I leave it to you guys
Okay.
personally. I don't know how the other commissioners feel.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think that the manager ordinance would give the latitude to the manager to do that. I would agree with Andy, just you guys can hash it out and, you know, there's something will obviously come from it. It'll impact the budget and stuff like that, but you know, I just echo Andy's sentiments. I don't want to come in and dictate how you guys do this. That's up to you.
Okay,
I mean,
the budget impact is very low, and it wouldn't make any change at all in that.
I was just gonna say, the only time I would say that we should be involved is maybe if there's something that can't be resolved between the department heads, you know, and you, Peter.
Well,
And-
that'd be three of us. It can be resolved.
That's a good point that Mark raises. So if there's a stalemate, I guess we could get involved, but assuming that it can be resolved, yeah, go for it.
And I would say only if you don't feel like, or the manager doesn't feel, or feels as though they want.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do anything that doesn't work with
Yeah,
everybody.
I know it's three people, but let's say one of the three has very strong reservations, you know, then let's talk about it.
Sure.
That's all I have.
Thanks, Chief. Chief Bean, good segue, huh?
Yes, good evening. Item A. It is my first attempt at my KPIs. There was some back and forth. I tried a couple different things. Learned to save the sheet multiple times, so I didn't lose the formulas. But hopefully things will get smoother as things go on. I thank Mike and Mike Yost and Commissioner Campbell for helping out with some of this stuff, because I had some questions. And no matter how I tried it, no matter how I adjusted things, it still wasn't changing anything. And I'm going, okay, what am I doing wrong? So finally set it out. Mike was a great help with some things and some adjustments that he can make, and hopefully automate some things to get some information back in. But hopefully we'll see what next month looks like and keep moving forward, since that's what we were working to get. So it's finally here. If there's any questions, I can try to answer them. I have it on my phone, a little hard to look at, but if not, I'll keep this moving. Item B is looking for a motion for pay application number 23 for Bolton Construction for $427,332.53.
Chief, am I correct that this is the last expected to be the last?
No, there's gonna be at least one more because there's some retainage due to some punch list items that aren't completed yet, which we're working through. And I believe HB Fraser has some retainage there also for a punch list item that should be resolved on Thursday, I believe. Thursday's the 18th, so Thursday.
We're getting near the
But we're getting close, we're getting very close to getting final things completed.
Do I hear a motion to authorize pay application 23 in the amount of $427,000, $332.53.
I'll motion.
I'll second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right.
Can I just mention something on these KPIs? And I was talking with this about this with Tanya before the meeting, but I don't know how you feel. Would it be possible for future meetings to maybe pick a part of the KPIs to share as a slide that the public could see, that the people in the room could see, and maybe it's a talking point that just gives more visibility to everybody outside of the group here to what we're looking at. Is that possible? Do you have any issues with that?
I have no issues with that at all.
Do you?
I could even offer to, like, if you just tell me which one you want to feature that, that month, I could put it together in a presentation and we could just pull it up just for awareness. You talked about the self-directed activities. Maybe you would want to highlight that, this month, or, how thefts are down, or response times, or whatever you guys wanted to showcase. We could give you every department a slide that, so the public could see it, and the people, watching on YouTube, they could see it. So it's not just, for our edification, but for more public awareness of what's going on. And the visual, I think it's easier to understand in the visual.
I think that sounds great. The only thing I would add, and I think this will need input from our department heads, is I would like to get to a point eventually where the KPI reports are publicly accessible on the website. And I know Mark's going to have more information on that later on, but I think, yeah, the goal is to get the information out there. We, the Board of Commissioners, are representing the residents. We don't want to be data and information hoarders. We right now are just limited in what data and information is immediately accessible. So we're working towards that.
I think too, one thing I wanted to clarify on my report, the top two that involve times were converted to seconds. Because if you keep minutes and seconds together, it just doesn't look right when you bring it over. So those end numbers are converted. If you convert them, and again, I'm not that fancy to switch them back, but like how the decibels end up showing up, it was easier to say, okay, if it's 10 minutes, it's 600 seconds.
Okay.
So, because if not, it did not look right, and it just definitely did not flow. So those numbers are in seconds. So obviously divided by 60 gives you your minutes.
Okay. And you, out of curiosity, Chief, because I was looking through the folders and it didn't show in the fire department folder. Is it somewhere other than that? Your KPIs?
I sent them, I don't know. I'd have to
separate?
clarify that with Patty. I sent it over to Patty.
Okay.
To put out. I know Tanya had gotten back to me. Mike and Tanya were helping me out with a couple things to fix some issues. And then I said, hey, should I send it? Hopefully I hit send, and it got.
It does trigger a memory now that it was an email, I think.
So an email initially,
Yeah.
but I think there will be, correct me if I'm wrong, Patty, there will be a folder. I don't know what your commissioner's drive looks like.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's just like by folder, fire department.
So I guess that's where it'll end up. Oh, I don't know where the monthly reports are going. I would send them and they would put them where they needed
Okay.
to go on the drive. So
Yeah.
that's something operational that we'll have
Okay.
to figure out, that it's getting to the right folder
Okay.
for you. But that's all. Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Thanks, Chief. I'll turn it back to you, Peter, for the administration.
Yeah, there's not much change in ours. The number of records request is up. And that's always a problem. But it's pretty stable right now. So I don't really have much to say about that.
Stable's good.
The refuse contract, I've been working on that steadily. It's coming together, but it's not done yet. I hope to be done by the 24th of this month. But I'll keep you updated on that.
Is that something that we need to like decision before it goes out, or how does that work?
Yes, yes, I will, when I get the specs done, I will get with you. You will have copies of them and I'll have your input.
So are you gonna target that 5th Tuesday meeting or the July meeting?
Well, that, I'm not sure. It's one or the other, and I can't tell you right now which.
All right, but by the July meeting, it's not gonna go into August, is what you're saying?
I don't think so. I'm not planning on that.
Okay, perfect.
You've already dealt with C on solar. We've been working with two companies. We have prices on the Public Works building. We're trying to get prices for the fire station. There is a question about the roof warranty, which I'll have to look into with Kelsey. And I'm waiting for a second proposal for the fire station, which should come in a couple days.
The challenge we have is the safe harbor on this. So we really can't wait. Like,
no, we're not waiting.
Like beyond tonight. Like we kind of have to decide if we're going to do it tonight.
Well, you have to the middle of July, right?
No, by July 1st, they have to have all their POs in. They have to have the equipment ordered. They have to have it in-house. They said if we wait till our June 30, we're going to miss.
Okay. You'll have a meeting of course, that's at the last day.
Yeah.
When we get the proposal in, I can give that information electronically to the board and get your input. And if there's no objections, we'll make a decision. The only question I have is bidding. And I'm not sure exactly where that stands with solar.
I mean, if it's, the bidding threshold is $24,500.
Yeah, it's
So if
beyond.
it's exceeding that, then you are required to put it out for bid.
Yes, okay. That's going to complicate it a little bit, but I think we can do that fairly quickly.
Unless it's a CoStar's manufacturer, supplier, and the contract work comes along with it. But I haven't seen anything, so I don't know that I can opine on that.
Well, we have enough information that we can put out a simple spec and get responses. I think you have to advertise, however, in a daily paper twice, separated by 3 days, and it's got to be 10 days before the bid opening, so that complicates stuff. I'll have to look at that. We haven't been thinking about that actually until tonight.
I guess the challenge is our decision's going to be made for us then. We're not going to be able to do it. We're going to miss the deadline.
No. I'm not sure that that's true.
Well, there is a way you can do it, but the reality behind it is pretty slim. I wouldn't be comfortable doing it that way. So the only way you can do it without safe harboring is you have to have the entire project installed and finished by the end of 2027.
No, I'm not sure that we can't safe harbor it. We've got to look at that.
You're not sure that we can or we can't safe harbor?
I'm not sure that you can't.
Oh, can't. I'm saying we're not going to hit the timeline. Yeah.
Well, you don't have to have you don't have to have it engineered. All you have to have is a number.
That's correct. And we have to have entered into a contract.
Yes. And you would have to have a special meeting for that if the time works out.
So what I'm hearing is it would take 10 days to bid it out. Today is the 16th.
We're not gonna make it.
Is it just?
Yeah,
If we had a special meeting.
The
on
providers wanted to do it like last week so that they could go through the process that they need to go through. Because I did mention, well, what if we do it on the June 30 meeting? They said it's not a possibility. It won't work. They need more time.
Did you say how much time they needed?
Probably at least a week or two.
Oh,
Does it matter? I believe the one vendor is on CoStars. They have the supplier number.
Is that exact? So what are we?
I don't know. I still think there needs to be specs. I'm not comfortable just saying, okay, yeah, we'll take your product and we'll figure out the specs later and here's the price. There need to be specs. If we're gonna put solar on every building in the township,
Well, there'll be a contract.
yeah, but they have to, you're saying you need a price, so the price is gonna drive the contract and the specs are gonna drive the price.
Correct. All that stuff is in the contract.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure
but
if it's CoStars. And we have a proposal which includes installation. I'm not sure that we'd have to do anything more.
I would just feel much more comfortable if there were actual specifications as to exactly what we're doing, exactly how much we're asking them to stay under, or what the proposal is, or what they're gonna offer it to us for. I mean, I haven't seen any of this, so I don't know.
We actually do have specifications on what they would do. We did not draft them, but we have specifications.
It was everything that you just talked about. It's all in here.
Do we have something we need to move on now? Or do we need to think of having a special meeting? Or is this something we need to punt into next year?
Well, there's no pun.
No, I wouldn't.
Ended it.
I wouldn't wait till next year. You won't get the match. But we need to talk about the specs that we have and what's on CoStars. I haven't seen it because that's a possible way to get this done.
So I guess.
I don't think any action's necessary now.
Okay. Okay, that's all I'm looking for is do we need to take any action? Okay.
I think it's just done.
Okay. Payment of bills. Do I hear a motion to authorize payment of bills for May 29th, June 5th, and June 12th of this year?
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
I'll second it. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? All right. Moving on to planning, we have a couple reaffirmations. Patty, did you want to comment on these?
Yes, there are 4 plans that are up for reaffirming approval. And one of those is the Old Hickory buildings, which you guys came to an agreement with the litigation. And I have those out today. So if you reaffirm it, we could get those plans signed tonight. That's the first order of business. Then I have some other stuff. So does somebody have a motion to reaffirm it is Old Hickory buildings, the Penske Customer Experience Center, the 719 Old Lancaster Pike, which is Light Path, and Newcastle Lawn and Landscape Phase 2. Those are the four that need reaffirming approval.
I make a motion.
I'll second it. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, just with regard to the reaffirmations, I know this is sort of just like a procedural thing we have to do, but I am curious sometimes, like how long like often these are like reaffirmed for quite a long time. Maybe I don't know. I'll just think on that. I don't want to spit out a half digested thought, but yeah, maybe we can talk about like how many times we reaffirm something before opening it up for like further deliberation or something like that. But
the next thing is 340 Old Lancaster Pike. We need a resolution to send in the sewer planning modules. This is a whole packet that Reading, because there are treatment center and the facility, and we transport. So it's a packet that has to go into the DEP. So I would need a resolution that you would authorize it, and then it goes in with the packet.
do I hear a motion to authorize resolution for sending the sewer planning modules for the 348 Old Lancaster Pike plan?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
The next thing I have is the Missionary Sisters. They would like another escrow release in the amount of $214,872.50. And GVC has reviewed and recommended that the release take place. It's against their letter of credit.
Okay. Joe, any comment or?
The only thing our office has been observing the improvements that have been done for this land development plan. And we do recommend that release of $214,872.50. It really pertains to most of the site work and some stormwater that's required under the plan approval. So we do concur and recommend that release.
Do I hear a motion to authorize release of the escrow for the Missionary Sisters of the Precious Blood?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Okay, and the last thing, we had gotten a communication. We are part of this program now. We got it from the Redevelopment Authority of Berks County, and it would include the fiscal years 2027 to 2029, and it involves the County Community Development Block Grant. So they use acronyms, as everyone does, CDBG program. And all we need is, if you want to stay in the program, you do absolutely nothing. The only caveat is you can't compete against them and apply for the same grants. But continued participation means that we're automatically in everything for the county, especially the federal home investment partnerships, the home, when they have money for that. And that's for affordable housing and related activities. Or you can decide to be excluded, which means that we'd have to have a written notice sent to the county and to HUD, and it has to be received by July 7th. In the past, we recommended to stay in the program, and the current manager has recommended to stay in the program. So we wouldn't have to do anything if you wanted to do that. And basically, I would just need nodding heads to say whether you want to be in or whether you want to be out, and we have to write a notice. So that's what the long and the short of that is.
The only question I have here is with regard to Delta. Have they just been looped in? Because I know they've done a lot of our grant writing stuff for the CDBG grant, the county pool. If we opt into the county pool, is there any effect to the ability of Delta to continue their grant writing efforts?
Just this one. We wouldn't compete against them for this community, the block grant one that's administered by this DCED. So it's just one it's just one type of grant that we would, you couldn't double dip, so to speak. So they asked that you don't go against them on it.
One
Well,
of
I
the
mean,
things,
but I think we're doing a lot, I mean, the Department of Community and Economic Development, DCED, is sponsoring a lot of the grants that we've been working towards. Is this something that we should be
This
concerned
is a
about?
separate, this would be separate from what we've been doing.
one of the things, you can actually use CDBG funds for almost anything, but it has to be in a low income neighborhood. But it does get you signed up to the home program, which would enable you actually to help people buy homes by giving money for down payments, giving money for improvements. So it's worthwhile doing, and I don't think there's any competition with what we're already doing.
It's actually part of one of, I think it's like year 3 of Delta's plan to do exactly what you're talking about. It's down the road. I don't think, here's where the acronyms get confusing, because even I get confused as to which one we did. I don't think we're applying for this type of grant. There's another one that starts with a C. I just don't remember what it is off the top of my head. You're thinking about, I think, one of the park ones. It's different.
All right, yeah, lots of grants, lots of acronyms. Just want to make sure we're not tripping over our own shoelaces. Thank you. So, I mean, I think we can move along.
So is it nodding heads just to stay status quo?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, moving over to you, Mike.
Good evening. Our KPI results remain within expected ranges, indicating a consistent service delivery and sustainable workload. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Moving on to the next item, there's a payment application for the board's consideration. This is pay app number 3 for the Ardmore Sewer Project, and it is payable to MDX in the amount of $295,600.01.
Do I hear a motion to approve pay application for the MDX site as stated?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Hey, Mike, before you move on to, I question like I had for Chief Winchester was the PA1 call workload. What's PA1?
That's when we go out and you're required to mark out your whatever utilities you have in the area when there's a work zone going on. So we get those almost daily. We're just tracking how many times we go out and we mark that stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe an education opportunity, Mike. PA1 call, feel free to just steer me out of misinformation. That's like, I can call if like I'm gonna dig up in my yard, I can just call. It's a program offered by the state that I can just call in and say like, am I gonna hit a gas line? I don't want to blow something up.
Yeah, you dial 811, you talk to a representative, you explain your project, and they walk you through everything. Item C, we're going to continue the presentation that we had last month. This is going to focus on 2 of the road tiers, the highest tiers. I'm going to pass it over to Ben McGuire, and he's going to continue.
All right, just got a quick 50-slide presentation. Shouldn't take more than an hour. This is just an update on what we talked about at the last meeting, our progress. Okay, so where we are so far, we have our assessments complete of all the roads in the township. We have everything prioritized within the tiers that they've fallen in as far as their condition. And we've narrowed everything down to 41 roads to look at for the next 5 years. We won't get 41 roads done in the next 5 years, but we'll develop real pricing for them so we have flexibility as far as being prepared to take advantage of any opportunities here. And we pulled the 41 roads from the poor category and the beyond serviceable life category, the 2 worst categories out of everything. So there's 30 roads from the poor category. And here is the worst category, the beyond serviceable life. So to kind of summarize, the assessment's done, prioritization's done. We have all 41 candidate roads for repairs, and we're developing pricing. The in-house pricing is easy for us to come up with the estimates. So we have those moving along. And now we're just waiting on subcontractor pricing, which this time of year is a little tough to get anybody to come out because all those companies are very busy right now. But we are in communication, and it's just a matter of them coming out and looking at some of these roads with us. And once we know what roads are candidates for what sort of repairs, then we can pick which roads to do to get the biggest bang for our buck.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Ben, but
Yep.
did you have 30 on the poor and 11?
Yep.
Okay,
That's
perfect.
30 in the poor and 11 in the beyond serviceable. And the reason we pick so many, if they come back and they say, maybe one of the options, like the Cape Seal option, they could do 10 roads for us with that method, and it would be economical for us to do so. We're prepared with measurements and details for beyond what we would actually need. So we have lots of flexibility with 41 choices. And if we have any other infrastructure repairs, for instance, if we were going to redo a sewer line on a road that isn't even on this list, that might become an option to, if we're going to be digging there anyway, maybe we would replace that road. So we have we're prepared for pretty much any opportunity that comes up with looking at so many roads at one time. Anybody have any questions?
The top one that you have, Welsh Road, is that?
That's in process right now.
It has. I was wondering.
Being that it's not complete, I didn't want to take it off the list.
Yeah.
So that is happening right now, our first phase of it, and that's an in-house project.
Great.
Yep. That's it. Thanks, Ben. Anything else? If you give me the thumbs up, Mike, we'll move along. Good. All right. Joe, I didn't have anything on the agenda, but any update for us?
No, I don't actually have anything more to report. That one I already discussed. All right, thank you.
Kelsey.
Thank you. Yeah, just 2 items tonight. Item A is the rental ordinance update. If you remember, we had a discussion about potentially implementing a rental registration program within the township, which would need to be done by ordinance. I'm working on a draft of that. I did find actually an ordinance that the township had passed in 1999, which is actually a rental ordinance that appears to have tried to create some sort of rental program, but I do not think that the prior administration actually enforced this ordinance. You can find it on the website. It actually is one of the ordinance on the website. But I think what we'll need to do then is basically enact the new ordinance, which will supersede this old ordinance once I get my arms around drafting a final draft to present to the board of that ordinance. So that's in progress. Item B is the capital planning and roadway policy ordinance. This is based on Commissioner Miller's capital plan presentation from, I think it was last meeting. And he requested that I draft an ordinance sort of outlining the terms of that plan, which I have drafted. I think the commissioners have that on their tablets and have had a chance to review it. So the only thing I'd be asking for is any feedback on that ordinance. And if there is none, to authorize advertisement of that ordinance for potential enactment at the next fifth Tuesday meeting.
I was just gonna say to piggyback off of the presentation you just saw, this is the ordinance that ties into it for folks that weren't at the last meeting. This kind of operationalizes, if you will, that plan to ensure that every year this evaluation gets done, every year capital is set aside for infrastructure to kind of get us out of the hole that we're in right now. Yeah, you didn't see the actual numbers up there, but just some raw numbers for everybody. 44% of our roads are in poor or what I'll call very poor state. And if you increase it up to include the fair roads that are in there, the fair are like the ones that you want to start kind of evaluating. Mike can tell me if I get this wrong, but the fair roads are the ones you want to start evaluating a plan for, because if you don't start planning for the fair, they turn into the poor. If you include that, it's 80% of our roads are in either fair, very poor, or very poor state. So it is a large hole to climb out of. Maybe Mike knows.
There's roughly 77 miles of roads.
Yeah. And keep in mind, this does not include any state or federal roads. So we're not touching 176, 625, anything like that. This is just purely the township roads. What is it, Mike? Roughly 200 something? I forget the number.
It was 211 or something like that.
Yeah. Not including state roads. It's a little over 200 roads in total. Keep in mind that not all roads are equal. Some of them are quite short and small, others are quite long. So it just kind of depends on what we're talking about here. But it's 80%. I'm not saying that to try and scare anybody. This is just the reality that we're up against here. So we have to put something like this ordinance in place to ensure that planning occurs annually so that we're not into this hole again. We've got to get out of it and set up future generations to be in a better spot than we're in today.
I mean, I had a chance to look it over. I don't think I read every single word, but I think this makes sense. Like Greg said, we are in a difficult position right now because, I mean, if we were to take all of I think you guys were using like a 1 through 5, like all of the 4 and 5 rated ones, like how many millions of dollars are we talking about in work that would need to be done? Like, obviously, horseshoes, hand grenades.
It's like roughly $1 million a mile to reconstruct a road.
Yeah, so we have a mountain of roads, many more than 1 mile, that are going to need work done. And so when I read this, I think this is a means of protecting the township from partisan politics and frankly ignorance. Like I don't know how to construct roads and when road A should be reconstructed versus road B. So I think this empowers our experts to make judgment calls and will prevent the township from ignorantly or for other reasons kicking a can down the road and getting into this position again. So I would support.
Yeah, and Andy brings up a good point. So these things, they don't fix themselves. So like if we don't do anything and we just keep driving on them, they're not going to get better. Like they're just going to get worse. And to Mike's point, if you go to the point where you get into reconstruction, that's when it gets super expensive. And we're there on, what is it, 11 on Ben's list? We're already at 11 roads in reconstruction. That number will only get worse if we kick that can down the road, to Andy's point. One other thing I did want to point out, we spend a lot of time talking about roads in here because it's kind of the flashiest thing that everybody sees. This ordinance also pertains to sewer. It also plays into like vehicle replacements for the various vehicles that we have, and also buildings, things like the roof or maybe even the building itself. So it's all encompassing, all things infrastructure related. The sewer situation is not much better than the road situation. Preview of coming events.
So we're looking to move on whether or not to advertise. Do I hear a motion, or is there any further deliberation?
I'll make a motion to advertise.
I'll second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Moving on to zoning. Patty, did you want to update us on this?
Sure, there will be, two applications at the zoning, at the end of the month. The first one, it seems to be a common theme. It is a corner lot, which means they have two front yards. And so they have to come and get relief so that they can put a 6-foot fence in what they thought was their side yard, which is an additional front yard. I had a lot of people coming in, a lot of residents, in the area. They were concerned because this is a gated community. But the applicant did provide pictures, and it's, an open wrought iron, looks very nice fence. The one woman was concerned that it might be like chicken wire or something, and I said, no, 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 I showed her the picture. So that's probably, hopefully that'll be resolved rather easily. The second one is, it's the Wyomissing Real Estate One, right behind the shed there, the shed thing, at 340 Old Lancaster Pike. This has been a challenging location, and that's why it has not been developed in the past. And as they were getting into their land development and still working through their plans, they realized that they have to go back for more relief because of the steep slopes that are over there. So they are going back for additional relief based on the different the slope categories and the disturbance of the land over there. So they're here in case you guys feel a certain way about either one of those, or if you just want the zoning hearing board to do their thing.
Could you just help me orient myself to the property we're talking about?
It's the one right behind where the sheds are on Lancaster Pike. It parallels it. It's Old Lancaster Pike. It's right behind there. It's supposed to be a great big building for to store different things from the sheds and from the other there's like I think 3 or 4 different entities in that building over there.
They've gotten a lot of zoning relief for this project previously, but in reviewing the plan, they kind of said, ooh, I think we need more. And Steve Hoffman from Great Valley looked at this, and him and I were both on the fence as to whether they actually needed the zoning relief, but just to be very safe and to make sure that all of our I's are dotted and T's are crossed, we said, you know what, just go apply for it and let the zoning hearing board take care of it. So that's sort of the background of how it got on your agenda tonight.
Cool, thank you. Moving on to commissioner agenda items. Item A, we have our commissioner's action item tracker. So just updates. Do you want to read that off? Tanya, and I know at the end we have an update from Mark on the website.
Yep, okay, the crosswalk situation on 7.4, where are we at with that? It said crosswalk signs replaced, line painting is weather dependent.
You can cross it off the list that's completed last week.
Perfect, thank you. And the open hearth trash collection ongoing.
We reached out to the trash collector, and there's a little bit of back and forth, and they were going to explore it, and that's the update.
And you want to give yours? Patty, no, Patty, A3, was that what I asked you to put on? Yes. Okay. Oh, what'd I do? I'm good. I haven't done the presentation one. What did I do last? Okay, I'm not gonna put it in presentation mode. I brought this attention, for submitting agenda items because I want more awareness and for the community to know what's going on and just to have the agenda out there sooner than later. So to ensure there's adequate time for review, so the public can see the agenda ahead of time. We can review the documents, have as much time to review what people are bringing forth to us. So a timely distribution of meeting materials. The following agenda submission timeline is, I'm proposing this to the commissioners. So all agenda items and supporting materials must be submitted no later than the second Tuesday of each month. That's if we have just the third Tuesday. If we have a fifth Tuesday, it would be, obviously the week prior. So submitted agenda items will undergo a review and approval to ensure that the completeness and alignment with meeting objectives, and finalized agendas will be approved and distributed to the meeting participants the second Friday of each month. So things would go into our packet on that Friday before the meeting, and then the agenda would be posted on the website the Friday before the meeting. And if agenda items have not been received by the second Tuesday deadline, they will not be included in that current month's meeting agenda and will be instead deferred to the following scheduled meeting unless it's approved under exceptional circumstances. Something would be urgent of nature, then we can make the exception to add that to the agenda. And then this process is intended to promote efficient meeting preparation, allow adequate time to review time for all the participants, and support productive and organized meetings. We want to be organized. We appreciate you guys coming to the meetings. We want you guys to be informed of what's going on in the meetings. And if it's something that's a hot topic for you, or you want to, have your neighbors, your friends come to the meeting, we want everyone to be well informed. That's it. Any questions? Yeah, it's a minimum.
Bev, you can post anytime before that 24 hours too.
It's a minimum of 24
It's a
hours.
minimum requirement. So you can post it a week before if you want to. But if anything changes on it and you're adding to it, then you would need to repost at least 24 hours before.
Did I answer your question? Okay.
Or legal, in a legal way, amend the.
Right. If something is forgotten off an agenda or arises that same very day, the board can make a motion at that meeting to amend the agenda to include that item, and then would have to make another motion or take more action on that item once it's included on the agenda. But we try to avoid that because that's just, to me, that just doesn't seem, yeah.
I mean, this isn't to be restrictive. This is just to be more awareness and bring more knowledge of what's happening at the meetings, what the agenda topics are.
Right. So I guess just to maybe piggyback on Bev's point, the purpose of that law is to make sure that the public has some minimum amount of time to review the agenda for a meeting. Well, what I think Commissioner Campbell, correct me if I'm wrong, is trying to say is we think the public deserves more time.
Exactly, more than 24 hours. And if you've got, if it's something important, you need to shift your schedule, you need babysitting, or you want to be able to get there for that important topic. I don't think 24 hours is enough for people, in my opinion.
And even for our own purposes, like today, I guess something from Chief Winchester came out today. In all honesty, I don't know either. I didn't see it yet. I was at work all day. So, we do need to have some sort of cutoff for when materials come in.
And I do think it's also important, like I saw you included a condition in there. That's like, obviously something major comes up. We have the procedures and ability to accommodate urgent agenda items that may need to be incorporated, but what I'm hearing is as a rule of thumb, let's formalize the process that if it's not something like that, like let's get it in a week ahead
Right.
and get it published.
Well, and I think too, for administration, things are being thrown at Patty, get this on the agenda. And if she has a cutoff, she can plan her schedule with her workload. We're not dumping a bunch of stuff on her at last minute to get in this folder or that folder. This helps them organize their time a little bit better. It's to try to help administration with their workload, isn't it?
If you're going to implement this, my suggestion would be to have, it's not going to be an ordinance, but it could be a resolution. That way you can post the written resolution on the website so that everyone's aware of when they need to get things in and all of the parameters are in writing. Obviously, there's going to be flexibility in the resolution where if the manager thinks that there's exceptional circumstances to add something at the last minute and repost, that can happen. But that's how just logistically, that's how I would recommend the board go about it if they choose to implement this new process.
My takeaway is Kelsey volunteered to write a resolution for us.
Anybody have any feedback? Nisha?
Just so everyone's aware, the way we have operated, I think is probably not too far off from this, but I think I would definitely support sort of more formalizing it in the form of a resolution. What we do is Patty sort of aggregates the agenda throughout the course of the time since the previous meeting occurred. And then we set up time, her and I, or her, Peter and I should say, or whoever the president would be, and reviews the agenda, because the agenda is sort of owned by the president or the chair of any board. Now, I don't want to be the gatekeeper of the agenda by any stretch. I don't think I have been at all. But we do, just for everyone's awareness, we do always review the agenda just to make sure, like, mostly it's just me annoying Patty with nitpicks about stuff to hopefully make it a little bit more readable or skimmable or stuff like that. But never substantial changes. But I'd be happy to move this along.
I just wanted to highlight one more point here. So we kind of touched on this earlier, how the new website's going to change the way we operate. Mark's going to talk a little bit about that, but one of the reasons you put a Friday deadline like this out there is our ultimate goal is to publish as much material as we can as possible. Some of it we're not going to be able to publish because it's sensitive, but the vast majority of what we're looking at, everybody else can look at it. So by putting a Friday deadline on everything, that'll give the public time to not only know that the meeting is coming up and here's what's going to be on there, but you can also read the materials then too. So that's where we're ultimately heading for this. But it's just going to take a little bit of time till we have all that set up. But that's what the goal is at the end of the day.
I know this is going to be annoying from us anyway, Kelsey, because I think it's just important for the public. When we say things like not all of the information, there's certain things like fiduciary or like legal related. Can you just sort of clarify what that means?
There's certain exemptions from the sunshine law that the board has to honor. So for example, personnel information, the board can't share that with the public. If there's ongoing litigation, we're not going to share strategy. We're not going to share internal memoranda or correspondence regarding lawsuits and that kind of thing. So there's a pretty long list. I think it's like 26 exceptions of things that are not technically shareable to the public. So it's just that kind of stuff. That's sensitive information that if it gets to the public could cause issues with, the board, with residents. For example, like ongoing investigations with the police. Obviously that's not going to be public information. So, there's a list. I don't have it all in my brain, but that's the reason why.
Thanks. I would have stumbled through that much less elegantly than you did. So do we just want to maybe revisit this once you have a chance to read? Great. You're up.
Okay, great. Just want to give everybody an update on the website project. We completed the first phase of the project, which was the kickoff meeting. We had that last Tuesday, and that was our team, Patty, Peter, Krista, myself, and then we had an account manager that we're working with, and a designer. So the intent of that meeting was to talk through the questionnaire that Patty completed, which was sort of general questions about what we wanted, what the design was going to look like, what the project in general, the spirit of what we were trying to develop here, what we want to communicate to the people that come to the website. And so it helped the designer now move into the next phase of the project, which is the design phase. So that will take a few weeks. I think it might actually be 6 or 8 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. And there's sort of an iterative process to this. So what they give to us, we'll have a chance to comment on and ask for changes. And so the other thing that we established at the kickoff meeting was the go live date for the new website, which, believe it or not, I mean, well, we're into almost July. So this project is about a 6-month project. So we're looking at a tentative go live date of January 4th of next year. And in order to hit that, we know it's not a given. We have to turn work around to the contractor and kind of keep this project moving. So we're excited about it. I think we're hopefully we're going to get some good design concepts back from them, and we'll keep you apprised as it moves along. The other project, which I'll just report on briefly, and I had Kristen, give an update to me on this because she's been kind of spearheading it, but it's the billing software project, which our team here, Kristen, Patty, Peter, I've been involved in some degrees with that. But where we are with that right now is we're still gathering quotes from the vendors. We have 3 vendors that we have been talking to. The first one, Edmunds GovTech, we have we have a proposal, a price quote. Kristen is going to be making a visit to Wyomissing Borough between now and I think maybe next week. She's planning on going with somebody, I'm not sure who, but somebody from the admin department to go talk to them and just get a like customer experience kind of feedback from them. But that's one of the vendors. The other, Intellitech, is actually the current vendor we have. They're like a broker, and they have the current system that we have is actually being deprecated and retired. So they're kind of on the fence of whether or not they have something that can work for us, because they kind of are looking at other software programs. They don't have one readily available, but I think they're still in the running here.
On and running, but they're not being too responsive. I think they're prepared to present something on payroll, but they don't have a full demonstration.
Right. Yeah, so they're looking a little shaky in terms of whether they can get something together for us. The other one is called Tyler Tech, and they've informed us, I think as of last week, that they believe they have all the questions answered, because there was like a discovery phase for all this. It took some back and forth, a little longer than maybe we anticipated, but we've answered all their questions, and they're in the process of finalizing a quote, and we should hear back from them very soon. I don't know if we have yet, but so I think the goal here is by our next meeting to have a decision. that is, if we can, I don't know how you feel about that, Peter.
You're talking June 30 or the July?
June 30th.
Okay. And maybe just a quick refresher for everybody, Mark, what comes out of this software project?
Well, we have a payroll financial management program that essentially runs the various payroll systems that we have, because we have multiple unions and they all have different requirements. So that complicates things quite a bit. But we also have one of the things that we're looking for in this that ties into the website project is an online billing capability, so that we would be able to take payments for our recycling and our services that we provide on the website, instead of, like the issues that we had prior, which we've talked about before, where things were sent in the mail and they got torn up and, lost. This would, not that the paper is going away necessarily. We want to give residents different options, but we're one of the last municipalities that I think I'm aware of, and certainly in the county, that doesn't yet have an online billing capability. So we're kind of coming into the 21st century with our system. And I think the financial management system too, from what I've heard, is in need of an update. The folks that are using it, they find it to be somewhat onerous and difficult. And so, we've been impressed with at least the presentations that we've seen. That Edmonds GovTech is actually one that Wyomissing Borough has in place, and they're very high on it. I think we were pretty impressed with the demonstration, and Tyler Tech as well. So maybe less so. I think Edmonds GovTech seems to be the one, at least at the moment, in the front in terms of our evaluation. So that's where we're at. Great update.
Can I throw back real quick, Mark? Was there any discussions on the website around applicant tracking for jobs?
Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah. Recent developments, as we were actually in the process of putting job openings. Thank you, Mike. What time is it? Job openings out there on that we didn't have an automated way to receive those job applications and to process them. So one of the things that was in the original proposal from Revise was something they call an applicant tracking system. It's a way to post job openings on your website, and a way for those applicants to apply and then route those in a workflow kind of way to the appropriate department heads. And so I just reached out yesterday to our account manager at Revise, and they do have a module, an ATS, they call it, applicant tracking system, that is something that I think we should have. We didn't consider it at the time when we were looking at this. We had it sort of lower on the priority list, but based on our experience of just now posting job applications or job postings, that we found that this may be a gap in what we were initially thinking. And the costs that we got back from Revise aren't terrible. There's a setup fee, which it's like, I think for the online workflow was like $1,900 for the setup fee, and then another $600 a year. So a cost is associated with this. It would be some part of an annual cost, like $600, I think, for one of them, and $900 for the other. Not insignificant, but not very large. But I would maybe, to the next meeting, I can bring something more formal to the meeting if the board is interested, that we could vote on if we wanted to add it.
Yeah, I would say definitely do that. I would argue that the cost of not doing this is much greater than the cost of doing it. The reason I say that, the current process as it is today, applicants are like going onto our website. They are printing out an application, they're handwriting it out, and then they're either mailing it or they're like physically driving it down here to the township building and giving it to somebody. I guarantee you we are losing applicants because of that. I don't need to do any research to know. Particularly, the one business, the finance position that we have, that's my world. If I saw that, that's a giant red flag. I am never applying to that position because it tells me I'm dealing with somebody that's way behind the times, and I'm not interested in working there. So we have to think about that kind of cost as opposed to what I would consider a relatively minimal cost of actually putting this online. This is just what people expect anymore. The mere fact that you have to print something out is enough to turn off people now. It turns me off, frankly. But a lot of people are not all that different than me now. They don't want to do this. They just want to go online, click a couple things, fill out this, that, and the other thing, push a button and be done. To think that they're going to like drive something in here in 2026, like I don't know that that's going to happen. Is everybody else comfortable with Mark bringing that forward?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have it ready for the next meeting.
I just, as I was sitting here, I just wanted to, a thought occurred to me, and I think we all should give some commendation to our two new commissioners. They have hit the ground running. We just saw Mark present for 15 minutes on a majorly impactful project. Tanya has been organizing the action items and gave a presentation that has been really thoughtful, continually bringing ideas forth. And I just want to thank you guys personally for the hard work you're doing for us. Moving to the item B under commissioners, I think you mentioned this to me, Patty, but do you want to speak, or Peter, did you want to speak about this perhaps?
Oh, well, yeah, I did have everything on your tablets. It came, the tax collector had sent it to us. Apparently the person had put his check in the mail, and for whatever reason, she did not get it till after the deadline. Unfortunately, she did include the, again, I had sent it to the envelope, and you could not see the postmark on the envelope, like it was kind of smeared. So because they usually give you the benefit of the doubt based on the postmark, when for the time limits. So the bottom line is, he had requested to see if he could not have to pay the extra penalty. The county was okay with it if the township is okay with it. So I put down here, the difference comes out to $92.59. And the township portion would be about $50.60, and the balance would be for the county. So that's what we're talking about. And she had requested that she was hoping you could make some kind of decision because he would have to do whatever he's going to do before the end of the month, and she's actually going on vacation Friday until the end of the month. So I talked to her today. So that's the long and the short of it. It's really up to your discussion and your discretion on what you want to do with these sort of things.
Just sanity check me, and just to be absolutely clear, postmark is not something this person can intentionally smudge.
No,
Right.
no.
This is the post office. This postmark.
He said, yeah, he dated it, he put it in the mail. She did not get it till way after the deadline. But there was no way for her to see. When we get things upstairs, you can see when the postmark and what's going on. Like those pieces, parts, we could see what the postmark on them was. So we knew that they had been sent out and then, destroyed somewhere along the line before they got to people. This, you couldn't clearly tell what the postmark was, and that's why there's a question, because it wouldn't even be a question if she could have seen the postmark. So that's where we're at.
I mean, given that the county was okay with it, I think my opinion is let's do the same thing.
I'm fine with it. We have to give them the benefit of the doubt. So if she couldn't clearly see it, Kelsey, there's no legal,
No, it's just your discretion, but we would need a motion since it involves township funds.
Yeah, it's a Tammy's point. If we can't verify this one way or the other, and it's not, the $50 isn't gonna like break the bank here.
Guy
Why
goes to the runner.
pick your battles, basically. Like I don't know why we'd expend energy fighting this.
I'll make a motion to reduce the tax rate due to the postal error.
I'll second it.
Mark seconded it. All all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Update on the Cumru pool.
Sorry, I was unprepared here. I'm just pulling this up real quick. I fell asleep for a second there. Okay, so as everyone's aware, we for the first time this year, we did deal with Cumru to subsidize pool rates for the members of the township. This is the first time we've actually kind of got some data back to see how it's been going, basically. We have data as of June 9th. Keep in mind, this is as of June 9th. So I know there's been more memberships that have been undertaken since then and will throughout the summer. What we've seen so far is that we've had a total of 124 memberships. Now, keep that in mind, that's not 124 people, that's memberships. Of the 124 memberships, 60 of them are brand new. So roughly half of them are new signups to Cumru. If we break down the 124 in a little bit more detail, 66 or about 53% of those memberships are family memberships. So that's at least 3 people that are right there at a bare minimum, money more in some cases. And then it kind of narrows from there. It goes down to individuals are about 15 total memberships, or about 12%, seniors 18, 14%, one adult, one child, 4 is only 3%, 2 adults, 15 or 12%, 2 senior adults, 6, 4.8. But as you can see, overwhelming majority family memberships, about 53% of them. And this number is going up, as I've said. Something also to note here, we have reduced membership rates for day passes. So day passes are cut down to $7 a day for folks there. Cumru does not track day passes. So we know that there has been a lot of day passes. We just don't know how many of them because they don't track it. So the value is even larger than what I was just kind of rattling off. We also have special rates on pavilion rentals. They don't track pavilion rentals. So we know some of the pavilions have been rented as well. We just don't know the numbers on that. So if you're looking for raw dollar amounts on what I was talking about there for all the numbers I rattled off, our residents have saved $12,700 from our investment of $7,500. So just on a net basis, it's just shy of $6,000 net to the positive on doing this. So it's been a positive investment purely from a financial standpoint. Obviously, folks are enjoying the pool as well. So that's the main reason that we're doing this. But it's kind of working out. And as I said, when we see the numbers for July, I anticipate the numbers will be even a little bit higher. And once again, they are conservative because they don't include pavilion rentals and the day passes. So long story short, it seems to be a resounding hit. We've heard very good feedback from the Cumru board in terms of our residents enjoying it. So far it seems to be working out really well. I'll pause if there's any questions for anybody.
That's awesome. All right, moving along to the rec center and Cedar Top Fire Station discussion around repurposing or reusing, or what we would like to do with those buildings.
Yeah, I don't know if Chief Winchester and or Mike would like to just kind of say what your thoughts are. We had talked about this after our last meeting as to what we'll do with those two buildings. The old fire station is now vacant, obviously, for the new fire station. The rec center was being used as I'll call it a staging area for the construction folks during the fire station construction. Both of those buildings are now open, so we kind of threw it out to the other departments. The fire station, our fire team obviously has their own building now. They don't need any of those areas. We kicked it over to Public Works and Police and said, what do you guys have uses for it? So I'll kind of let them roll a little bit here as to what they're looking to do.
Yeah, so Mike and I got together and we discussed possible usages and we immediately came up with a number of suggestions. The bottom line to the board was that we suggest that we retain those two pieces of property. As far as the rec center goes, in regards to PD and public works usage, historically, what we have been able to do and utilize that space for with the police is more professionalized training that we can bring in, and we can host training. The benefit of hosting training is we get the company to come in, we provide them with the venue, we advertise, and then if we reach a certain threshold of seats, we'll get some of our officers in there for free to get that training. Excuse me, that space provides that area is a great space for that training, in that it's self-contained with restrooms as well as a nice area. Public Works sets up the tables and chairs for us. And Public Works in recent years has also had the ability to bring in training as well, and have a portion of that training. Most of their training, and I'm not speaking for them, but I kind of am, revolves around more hands-on operational aspects of what they do. But there is a portion of classroom that is also required with most, if not all, that type of training. So they can use the same thing. And Public Works really enjoys setting up rooms for the police department when we have training. So we don't want to take that away from them. As far as the Cedar Top old station, that space will be utilized primarily for Public Works and a lot of their equipment that needs to be out of the environment to preserve that equipment. And the PD will also utilize that space. We're in constant communication anytime there's any kind of inclement weather on campus where in order for them to do their job, we have to remove our vehicles, whether they're the marked units or the personal vehicles of the police officers. So that space, that parking area, those bays can be used, and they'll be used. They'll be used very well during those inclement weather events. Also, when we're not talking about inclement weather, there's other pieces of equipment that regularly need to be put away and put aside and used when they're needed and not on a regular basis. So all that equipment will be able to be utilized and placed over there, whether it's Public Works or whether it would be PD. One of the things that Public Works does, since they wear many hats, is they take care of all the fleet, the vehicles, and the equipment that the PD it's not specialized with the PD to get calibrated or certified. So they're in charge of essentially all the equipment on campus. So that space, those two spaces are going to be used very well. And we recommend that we keep those pieces of property.
And then additionally, I think we recognize that historically the rec center building could be rented out by the public for various things. I think there's some operational considerations there that we need to discuss and figure out internally before we eventually go to move forward with that. But near term, it would be what Chief just kind of described there for everybody.
One thing, if I could, I'd like to point out, I wasn't included in the conversation about the old station, was the majority of that funding for that building came out of the fire fund originally. Two, we've added a training room to the station for the exact purpose that Chief Winchester just talked about, that it wouldn't have to be converted. We wouldn't be taking Public Works time to reset rooms like this one or other ones. But just wanted to add that out there, that there's already a space that's been created for that with the intent to be used by multiple departments. But the rec center is still there. But I will say from my experience in public works, it was a very challenging thing as a rental facility also. But I wasn't included in any discussions about what was going to happen with those buildings. Because currently the fire police vehicle is in Station 2. Because something's going to sit outside. Which puts us back to where we were with other departments. So I'm just pointing out that the training room, once it's fully outfitted, which I'm trying to get to, will be set up for a classroom. And will be able to be utilized by all departments, as long as the schedule fits, calendar and so forth. That's why it was put in the building. So again, I wasn't included in these things, but should have probably been. Because my budget's been taking the hit for Station 2 for a long, long time. So my book at Station 2 is, okay, now what's gonna happen to it? Because my department, my budget also paid rent in this building per square foot. Because we were in here and we're out of a separate fund. So again, there's some things that I think would be helpful to be part of a conversation with that I'm not. And I think I could add some information that maybe isn't being delivered. So I'm just putting that out there from a general standpoint. We have the facilities. We just need to outfit them now. But we're getting down to that point where we need to figure that out because we're getting to the end of contracts. But just adding that, because that was part of the design of the new building. And anyone who's been through it has seen that.
Yeah, I was going to comment and just say, Chief, you gave us a tour, and that is a really nice space. That is a large space. You could do, you know, a significant number of people in that space for training. But I remember when you gave us the tour, you specifically said this could be used by multiple departments.
Yeah, I think we should definitely utilize the space we have. I mean, I think naturally with everybody having budgets and everybody having budget constraints, like everyone gets a little territorial, and I think that's a totally normal thing. I do think I commend you for wanting to facilitate as much utilization as possible. I think let's continue the conversation. I don't think we're looking for anything to be set in stone. So I think your input is valued and should be factored in. The one thing I would ask you is the one concern, well, I guess one concern I heard you air was with regard to the fire police vehicle. Maybe you guys can talk specifically about that and give us an update, and we can loop back. And I know you guys are going to talk through it with Peter as well. So,
do we want to kind of handle this like we did with the fire police discussion, where these guys can work it out? Like, I don't feel like I need to be involved in any of this. Like, anything that I just heard is fine with me. If you need to make some modifications based off of Chief Bean's feedback, that's also fine with me. If you need to move some things around in the budget, also fine with me. Like, I don't want to impede progress. You know, you guys can figure this stuff out if that's all right with Peter.
all right. The last thing before our reminders is we will have an executive session to discuss some matters of potential litigation. But for the public, I'll skip to the reminders. We have a zoning hearing board meeting on the 23rd at 6 p.m. We, as mentioned earlier, have our 5th Tuesday meeting on the 30th at 7 p.m. and our regular July meeting on the 21st at 7 p.m. The planning, July 21st at 7 p.m. Planning Commission will be meeting July 6th at 6 p.m. We do have a vacancy for an alternate on the Planning Commission. So if anybody is interested, please reach out. Or if you know someone who would like to get more involved with the township, we'd love to have them. The tax collector and codes department's monthly reports are now published on the township's website if anybody wanted that information. And finally, the office will be closed in recognition of the June 19th holiday on Friday. So with that, we're gonna break for the executive session. All right, that will bring us back from executive session. We had a discussion about some potential litigation. No action will be taken. And unless any other comment, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.